Listen up, sports fans. Your favorite sportsbook, BetUs.com, is back for our 28th year of NFL action. With the industry's biggest sign-up bonus of up to 200%, BetUS offers our members the opportunity to cash in on all your favorite sports, including NFL, NBA, MLB, and more. We've also got hundreds of new casino games, including the coolest new European slots, and our live dealers are waiting for you at the tables. Sign up at BetUS.com today to get into the action. BetUS, where the game begins.
All right, without further ado, here's my instant recap of episode 5 of Winning Time, The Rise of the Lakers Dynasty. And tonight's episode, this is episode 5. It's titled, The Hamburger Hamlet. The Hamburger Hamlet. Now, this episode picks up where last week's episode left off. They're still in Utah. It's still a major media frenzy after Magic demanded that he wanted to be traded from the Lakers. And Pat tells Paul that he needs to get ahead of this whole thing right away. He needs to go to management and tell his side of the story before it all crashes down. But Paul Westhead, he's still feeling himself right now. And then the media comes to him to get his side on the whole blow up between he and Magic on the bench from the night before. And Paul tells him that Magic is a great player. It just has a lot of growing up to do still, which is very unprofessional. You don't throw your star player under the bus to the media. You say that behind closed doors. That was a very bad look by Paul right there. So that even makes him look even worse. Now, Buzz, he's very upset that Magic went to the media, demanded a trade. He feels like Magic stabbed him in the back after giving him that 25-year, $25 million contract. He feels that Magic took him in like, he feels that he treated Magic like a business partner, took him in like his own, like a son, and he feels that Magic is being disloyal to him. But Jerry West also checks Bus and tells him like it ain't all his fault. He said it's also Paul Westhead's fault. West said it from the get-go that he felt that Paul wasn't the man for the job. He feels like he was just riding a wave, and now that wave is about to crash down as he's losing the team. And Jerry West definitely strongly feels that Paul Westhead should be replaced, but Buzz, he ain't going for it. He does not want to change coaches in the middle of the season once again. So he decides to stick with Westhead for a minute. Now, Paul goes to see Jerry Buss the next day, but his secretary stops him and tells him he's in a meeting, and he asks him who's he in a meeting with. She can't tell him, and then, he sees the door cracked open. He looks at a big board with other coaches' names on it. So he's starting to see the writing on the wall, literally. So Dr. Buss' son escorts Magic to the Hamburger Hamlet. That's what it's called. Hence the name of this episode, for a secret meeting with Jerry Buss. And Magic those two just go in on each other. He tells them that, your dad is working for a fraction of what I'm paying you, which is very unprofessional by Buss. Buss did not have to bring that man's dad into it. His dad didn't have nothing to do with their conversation, with the conversation at hand between them. And Magic feels like, he basically is supposed to just shut up and play ball, which is kind of funny. It's kind of like a precursor to the whole shut up and dribble thing. Magic basically tells Buss like, hey, you want me to be more of a silent partner and not say anything. And he also calls out Buss on his family issues and all the women he's screwing around. And also Magic lets him know, like, why you didn't stick up for me, when I was trying to tell you this whole situation between me and Paul was not working. And Jerry Buss just looked speechless. He couldn't say anything. So basically, in so many words, Magic tells him, I'm all in, but if he's still the coach, if you keep him as the coach, I want to be traded because I'm not playing for him. I'm definitely not playing for him. Not one more minute. And also, it got so icy between he and Paul in Utah at the beginning. They both had a stare down. Magic looks at the camera and said, I meant what I said, meaning that he still wants to be traded. So Buss is stuck between a rock and a hard place. Does he replace another head coach in the middle of the season again, or does he ride it out with Paul? So later on, Paul and Buss meet in his office, and Buss breaks the news to Paul that he's fired. And Paul feels like that, Magic is driving the decision, not you. And Buss lets him know, no, this is me. This is my team. I make the decisions. No player makes any decisions. This is all me. But Paul, he's still not trying to hear it, but eventually he accepts it, and he thanks Dr. Buss for giving him the opportunity. He walks out the door. He runs into Pat in the bathroom, and he tells asks Pat, why didn't you stop him when his ego was starting to get out of control? And they just reminisce on the run they had, winning a championship together. And Pat says it was better than most, because Pat gets the feeling that he's on his way out the door too, along with Westhead. But after Paul, leaves, West and Sharman come and get Pat, and they tell him he has to go straight to the press room. And Pat at first thinks that Jerry Buss is going to fire him publicly in front of everybody, but they tell him, no, you're staying on. And Pat can't believe it. He can't believe he's staying on, because he thought, hey, I came in with Paul. I was going to leave with Paul. But no. And Jerry Buss is there in the press room for a press conference to announce the firing of Paul Westhead, and also the promotion of head coach. Actually co-coaches, because Buss announces to the media that Pat Riley's going to be the coach and Jerry West is going to be the offensive coach, quote unquote. And the media just starts laughing at him like, wait a minute, this ain't football. Is this football? What, you going to have a special teams coach too? They just clown Buss for this plan. Now, Jerry West gets very flustered, because he was not trying to go back into coaching again. He just wanted to just strictly stay in the front office and just put together the team, because he felt like he would definitely be nervous as a coach. So this is something he was not ready to get back into. He basically told Pat that he was going to defer to him and that this was his team. He didn't want to have too much to do with it. And he told him, don't get kicked out any games, because guess who's not going to be there? Old West. But then Pat gets on the podium, and one media asks him, what is he thinking about? He said, all I'm thinking about is lunch. And they started laughing at him. But initially, Pat's a little flustered too, because, hey, he's been thrust into this spotlight where now he's the head coach. But then he starts handling the questions with confidence, and also he gives Paul the credit, gives Paul's credit, saying, hey, he's a friend. We accomplished a lot together. He doesn't throw him under the bus, which I give him props for that, because he feels like, hey, this guy gave me my starting coaching. He pulled me off the, broadcasting booth to put me on the bench. Now, the next day after the press conference and the firing of Westhead, Jerry West gives Pat pointers on how to motivate players as a head coach. He's telling various players to, basically get their shit together. Otherwise, they're going to be sitting on the bench. He tells that to cats like Nixon, Wilkes, Kareem, even Magic. Now, the first game with Pat Riley as the head coach doesn't start off so well. The crowd at the Forum is booing Magic relentlessly for announcing that he wanted to be traded. And during the whole game, they were just booing Magic relentlessly. And also, they were calling him all kind of names. $25 million crybaby. Just going in on Magic relentlessly. Now, the Lakers do win that first game, but the media and the fans are not stopping, taking their jabs at Bus and Magic for the whole contract. A lot of the fans, they don't like Magic. They ain't liking this team. They want Magic out because they still feel some kind of way about him demanding to be traded. The media, they're going in on Bus for letting go of Paul Westhead. They feel like Magic is running the team instead of Bus. They feel like anything Magic says goes. So, this is driving Jerry West crazy, because one respected writer just really goes in on him for giving Magic the contract and feels like that he's not really an owner, that he's just some type of clown. So Magic and Bus are not having any good days, and they definitely can't win with the fans or the media. But Honey tells Bus not to worry about it, that it's not real. Just, focus on your everyday life. Don't take it personal. Don't take everything the media say personally. And just don't worry about it. Just keep your focus on building and running the team. Now, later on, Bus, Honey, Kareem, and his wife, they all run into each other at the skate ring. The ladies, they go off and skate, talk, and Bus and Kareem are alone. They talk they get to talking, and Kareem confronts Bus about the fact that he did not like, excuse me, he expresses to Bus that he did not like the fact that he let Paul go, because Kareem really liked Paul Westhead as a head coach. And also, it seemed like the team was also riding with Paul Westhead as well. But Kareem definitely didn't like the fact that Paul Westhead was let go. And he also didn't like the fact that he gave Magic that contract, because he feels like that he exploited Magic and took advantage of him, because he said within the next few years, that's going to be the average salary in the NBA, $25 million. So basically, he just told Bus how he really felt about letting Westhead go, and the whole Magic contract situation. Now, later on that night, well, the next night, Magic is in Bus's office, and Jeannie comes in to confront her dad, but she sees Magic, and he expresses to her second thoughts on the things that he said at the private meeting between him and Bus. But Jeannie actually is proud of Magic, and she calls him her hero because for once somebody stood up to her father. And she told him, now, my father can't control you. He can't bully you. He can't tell you what to do. So she definitely was proud of him for that, and she admired him for that. Also, now Bus and Pat have a meeting because the Lakers, they're having their struggles. They've been losing a lot of games. They've been barely beating low-level teams. But Buzz has a talk with Pat because he wants stability. He doesn't want to keep on going through this revolving door of coaches. He doesn't want to keep on going through, head coach, offensive coach. He just wants one voice. So he asked Pat, does he wants to be the sole head coach of the Lakers? And of course, Pat says, hell yeah. He definitely wants to jump in and finally get that take that shot at being an NBA head coach. But it gets rocky between him and the players because the players are definitely not taking Pat seriously as the head coach. They're still treating him like an assistant. Matter of fact, they're treating him like a doormat. He's trying all these methods, trying to be, the nice guy, and they still won't listen. So basically, he gets so frustrated one night while he's at home, and he tells his wife maybe he should be more like his father, be more, tougher and basically an a-hole. So when they're in the locker room getting ready before a game, they're still treating Pat Riley like a doorman. And he just reaches his breaking point to where he just punches the board, just tells all of them to shut the F up, starts, calling them out for all the BS that they've done and the reason why the team's been struggling. He calls out Magic for for smiling too much, chasing tail. He calls out Norm for, saying all this stuff behind behind Kareem and Magic's back, and tells him like if he does that again, he's gone. He takes Bob McAdoo out the starting lineup, puts Kirk Rambis, an undrafted free agent, in the starting lineup. And they finally see that Rouse is not playing. And guess what? The team starts playing better. They really take off. They start dominating. They become the team that everybody envisioned them to be. They end up with the top seed in the West. And they make their run through the playoffs, sweeping teams, and they're just anxious for that matchup with the Boston Celtics in the NBA Finals. But it gets put on hold once again as the 76ers eliminate the Celtics in the Eastern Conference Finals. But before the game ends, the Celtics fans are chanting "Beat LA," and the Lakers, they're stunned. They're salty that they're not going to get that Celtics matchup once again in the finals, that they got to play the 76ers once again. So that's the end of the episode. Well, we got 2 episodes left before the season. Well, next week's episode and the week after that is the season finale. This was a pretty good episode. Definitely liked it. It really got, this episode was the turning point of the season. Them firing Paul Westhead, and also the beef that went on between he and Magic. Also, this team trying to adjust after the Westhead firing. Pat Riley trying to find his voice as a head coach and as a leader of men. And he finally finds what works. And that's, being the tough guy, being the bad guy, not always being the nice guy. And it definitely works. And he gets the best out of this team and guides them to the NBA Finals. Also, this was a well-acted episode, too. Definitely like Quincy Isaiah, who plays Magic Johnson in this episode. He definitely gave a pretty good performance here. Also, definitely like all the tension and the drama in this episode. But man, this was just a great episode. And I definitely can't wait to see what unfolds in these final 2 episodes. Next week's episode and the season finale the week after next.